behalf of CMR University School of Legal Studies, welcome you all to the finals of second CMR University School of Legal Studies National Mediation Competition. We have amongst us our distinguished judges for the session, who also happens to be the veterans of the field.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. It is my esteemed privilege to introduce Justice Padmaraj Nemachandra Desai, former Judge, High Court of Karnataka. His Lordship completed his primary and high school education at Model High School, Navalgund, Dharwad District, Bachelor of Science degree in PC Jabin Science College, Hubli, and LLB in University College of Law, Dharwad. His Lordship has enrolled as an advocate in the year 1984 and joined the chamber of his father, late Shri N.J. Desai, advocate, and practiced both on civil and criminal side at Navalgund and Dharwad courts. His Lordship joined judiciary on 25th July 1992 as a Munsif and JMFC, presently civil judge, and stood first in the merit list of the batch. Worked as a Munsif and JMFC, Tumkur District and Sedam Taluk, Kalburgi District. And also promoted as a senior civil judge in 2002 and worked as an assistant draftsman and ex officio deputy secretary to Government of Karnataka, Department of Parliamentary Affairs and Legislation, Vidhan Soudha, Bengaluru. His Lordship served as a principal senior civil judge and chief judicial magistrate at Hassan and also served as registrar, City Civil Court, Bengaluru. In 2009, through a limited departmental competitive examination conducted by High Court of Karnataka, he was promoted as district judge and served as additional city civil and sessions judge, Bengaluru. His Lordship presiding over of Additional Industrial Tribunal, Bengaluru, and also trained mediator from Bengaluru Mediation Center. Worked as a founder assistant director, served as deputy director and a senior faculty member at Karnataka Judicial Academy, Bengaluru. His Lordship served in the High Court of Karnataka as a secretary to Honorable Chief Justice, Additional Registrar General of High Court of Karnataka at Dharwad Bench. His Lordship also worked as a principal district and sessions judge, Chikmagaluru District, and appointed as additional judge, High Court of Karnataka on 4th May 2020, later appointed as permanent judge of the High Court of Karnataka on 24th September 2021, and retired as a judge of High Court of Karnataka on 20th May 2023. He has been president of Karnataka State Judicial Officers Association, Karnataka, and has conducted multiple Karnataka state level biannual judicial officer conference, and has also attended multiple seminars and workshops and National Judicial Academy, Bhopal, and also at New Delhi. His Lordship has been regularly invited to Karnataka State Judicial Academy to give lecture and training to trainee judicial officers on various subjects of law. His Lordship has served as appellate authority under Right to Information Act 2005 and High Court of Karnataka, Bengaluru, and has experience of more than 3 decades as judge. Welcome you, Your Lordship. It is my esteemed privilege to introduce Advocate Prasad Supanna. Sir enrolled as an advocate on 9th January 1985, Karnataka Bar Council. A life member High Court Advocate Association Conciliator in the Lok Adalat held by High Court of Karnataka and also a panel advocate of Karnataka State Legal Service Authority. Sir is a qualified mediator certified by International Center for Alternate Dispute Resolution, Karnataka Judicial Academy in association with Institute for the Study and Development of Legal Systems, San Francisco. Further, Sir is also a commercial mediator certified by Bangalore Mediation Center in association with Judicial Arbitration and Mediation Services and the Foundation for Sustainable Rule of Law Initiatives, United States. He is also appointed as a coordinator, Mediation Center Bangalore, by the Chief Justice, High Court of Karnataka since June 2007. Sir is a master trainer for prospective mediators approved by Mediation and Conciliation Project Committee, Supreme Court of India. Sir has conducted several training programs for judges and lawyers in different states like Maharashtra, Goa, Rajasthan, New Delhi, Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Patna, Jharkhand, and almost all the districts in Karnataka. The participants have been designated senior advocates and judges of High Court, including the Chief Justice, High Court of Karnataka, and judges of the lower judiciary. Since 2008, Sir has conducted more than 50 training programs. He is a legal professional with a diverse portfolio spanning legal awareness programs aired on Doordarshan, legal aid clinics at Nimans, and certification programs on ADR for colleges. With expertise in conveyance covering various deals such as lease, sale, gift, and franchise agreements, and also guide students and professionals on soft skills. His extensive experience includes handling cases in service and labor law for government, banking, educational, and private sector employees. He has conducted domestic inquiries and successfully resolved cases ranging from recovery of money to matrimonial disputes in family courts. Additionally, he has filed writ petitions, contempt of courts, and addressed constitutional matters in the High Court. We welcome you, sir.
It is with great respect and admiration that I introduce Advocate Brinda Nandakumar ma'am, who is an advocate practicing on the civil and criminal side in Bengaluru for the last 34 years. She is a mediator empaneled with the Karnataka Mediation Center, an initiative of the Karnataka High Court, and having 15-year experience in the field of mediation, and conducted mediation in family matters, original suits, negotiable instrument cases, and labor matters. Advocate Bindra ma'am, also a commercial mediator, empaneled with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the Karnataka State Legal Services Authority, empaneled as a mediator with the Karnataka State Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission and District Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Ma'am holds a MA degree in mediation and conflict resolution from the Maharashtra National Law University. Ma'am is a mediation trainer with MCPC, that is Mediation and Conciliation Project Committee, Honorable Supreme Court of India, and Karnataka Mediation Center. Ma'am has conducted 40 hours mediation training programs and refresher programs for lawyers and judges across the country, and also she has conducted awareness programs for law students across country. Apart from being a lawyer and mediator, ma'am is an animal rights activist and has been engaged in many animal welfare activities for the last 3 decades. She served on the board of CUPA, a leading animal NGO in Bengaluru, and presently is a trustee of WRRC, a wildlife NGO engaged in protection of wild animals. Ma'am has represented the Animal Welfare Board of India and animal NGOs in many cases relating to the domestic and wildlife animals in the trial courts, High Courts of Karnataka and the Supreme Court of India. Ma'am is a member of Institution Ethics Committee of National Tuberculosis Institute, Government of India. Ma'am has also been engaged in community service through Citizen Welfare Association, Ladies Circle Roundtable. We welcome you. It is my esteemed privilege to introduce Advocate Bharat Kumar sir. Advocate Bharat Kumar sir is a highly respected legal professional with over 30 years of experience as an advocate across various courts. This experience is complemented by his extensive work as a mediator since 2007 at the Karnataka Mediation Center. Mr. Kumar is a strong advocate for dispute resolution, having served as a trainer for aspiring mediators through MCPC program across numerous states. His deep commitment to justice is further evident by his work mediation countless court-referred cases at the Bangalore Mediation Center, now the Karnataka Mediation Center, since its inception, and his ongoing role as a trainer since 2009. Advocate Kumar sir brings a wealth of expertise and a dedication to achieving fair and equitable outcomes to all his endeavors. We welcome you, sir. As the court officer, it is my duty to inform you of the rules that will govern this final round of mediation competition. Please pay close attention to it. Rule 1, duration and session. The total time allocated for this mediation session is 90 minutes. This will be followed by a 15-minute feedback session from the judges. Rule 2, caucuses. Each caucus is limited to a maximum of 7 minutes. Either parties can request for a caucus during the caucus. The other party must vacate the room. Each competing team has right to request one caucus during the session. Please ensure that these rules are followed to maintain the integrity and fairness of the computation. Additionally, please note that a time card would be displayed after each intervals to you. Thank you for your attention. So, honorable judges, may I have your permission to commence the mediation?
A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for joining today's mediation session. On behalf of myself and my co-mediator, I would extend a warm welcome to both the parties. To begin, I would like to give a brief introduction about ourselves. I'm Rachel Zain, and I'm pleased to serve as your mediator today. I'm a trained and qualified mediator from the Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation with an experience of 10 years. Please feel free to refer to me as Rachel. We also have Monica as a co-mediator who will be assisting me throughout the process. We would thank both the parties to choose mediation as their preferred mode of dispute resolution and setting aside their previous differences before coming to this session. You have already taken the first and the most difficult step towards the dispute resolution. We shall aim to reach a mutually beneficial settlement by resolving the prior disputes at hand and build a healthy relationship. In my experience as a mediator, I have resolved multiple disputes resembling the one before us today. Having said that, I would like both the parties to introduce themselves.
Greetings everyone, I am Shivam, the youngest son of Sohan. Today I am accompanied by my counsel.
Greetings everyone, I am the counsel of Mr. Shivam and I'm a practitioner in this esteemed profession for the past 10 years and I'm a partner at ABC Law Firm.
Greetings everyone, I am Pradeep, I am the eldest son of Sohan and I have all the authority to make the decisions today, and over to my counsel.
Greetings everyone, I am Mr. Pradeep's counsel for today and I would like to reiterate that I do not have the authority to make any final decisions today.
Thank you. Before I explain the stages of mediation, I would like my co-mediator to introduce herself and explain the process of mediation.
Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to each and every one of you. My name is Monica, as my co-mediator said. So before we go any further, I would like to give a brief on what mediation is. And to do so, I would like to emphasize on two beautiful ideologies that Western philosophy has given us. The first one being Stoicism and the second one being existentialism. Now, what is Stoicism? By definition, it is the practice of self-reflection and mental discipline as a way to find or rather cultivate peace. Existentialism, on the other hand, is the question of its individual existence and freedom. Now, despite there being a glaring similarity, the core principle of these two ideologies align with the tenets of mediation. The inherent nature of mediation is the ability of people to come together and discuss in such a manner that they may weigh the balance of the scales, and not that they tip it over in favor of one party. That being said, I would like to appreciate both the parties for opting for and agreeing to the process of mediation today, and choosing to come together with cooperation to find a solution to the problem at hand. We are aware that in the current legal system, the courts are burdened with numerous cases, and the process of litigation has become extremely tedious and time-consuming. And therefore, mediation offers us a speedy way to get justice. We as the mediators are here to ensure that the conversations, or rather the dialogues that we partake in, will choose a path of fairness and good conscience. They will be constructive and followed through in a structured manner. It is very important for me to bring to your notice that we as mediators are not here today to give you legal advice or give to you legal principles that are concealed in the jargon of the subject. Rather, we are here to facilitate the process and the direction of the communication. And therefore, to find such a solution that works best, we would like to emphasize on three principles. The first being voluntary. You have come here on your own volition. So whatever happens during this session and this process today will be to ensure that you receive what is best for you and what you believe is the perfect solution for you to find. Our second point is upholding the values of equality and fairness. We will act in such a manner. There will be no bias by either of the mediators, and we will be here to support you. Thirdly, and the most essential aspect of mediation is confidentiality. Anything spoken in this session will remain confidential, and your privacy is at utmost important to us. If the mediators take any notes during the session, it will be for our personal use and will be discarded off immediately after the session gets over. There will be utmost confidentiality maintained on behalf of both parties. Let us remember that such a process of mediation is extremely important to establish communication, which is good, honest, and done with bona fide intentions. With that being said, I would like to hand over to my co-mediator to explain the process of how we will go with today's session.
Before I explain the process of mediation, I want to add a point to what my co-mediator has explained. The process of mediation is a non-binding in nature, means the parties may choose not to abide by the solution that has arrived during this session unless it aligns with their interest. Secondly, as my co-mediator has already stated that it's an impartial process, which can be stemmed from the fact that either of the mediator do not know either of the parties beforehand. And to confirm, I would like to ask both the parties if they have met me in any prior mediation session. Thank you for the clarification. Moving ahead, I would like to present an analogy to explain the process of mediation. In mediation, we are like puzzle solvers, piecing together the fragmented pieces of your conflicts to reveal a bigger picture. As we work together, each piece of compromise brings us closer to completing the puzzle of compromise. Moving ahead, having explained the basic features of the mediation, I will elaborate on the stages of the mediation. The stages of mediation basically consist of 4 parts. After I deliver my opening statement, where I explain the nuances of the entire process, I would expect an uninterrupted opening statement from both the parties. As a mediator, it does not matter to me which parties give their opening statement first. But as a matter of custom, it is the requesting party who give their opening statement first, followed by the responding party. The opening statements from both the parties will familiarize everyone at the table the individual concerns of both the party and help us give a better picture for both the concerns of the party. Next, we shall hear from both the parties the agendas they would like to propose. Once the agendas are set, we shall transition into a joint discussion where we will deal with the issues at hand in a great discussion, and we will try to reach to an amicable solution. Consider the agendas to be the milestones which we will visit before we reach our destination today. This is where mediation differs from other forms of dispute resolution. The parties have the ultimate control over the outcome of the mediation. We shall collectively aim to allow the negotiations to blossom into a proposal of innovative, collaborative, and long-term solutions. Moving forward, at some point during the meeting, I may call for a private session with either party in the capacity as a mediator or the private caucus. The private caucus is a private session with the mediator in the absence of the other party. It adds to the extra layer of confidentiality and where the parties can choose to communicate the issues that they were not able to present in the presence of the other party, or were not feeling safe enough to present in the presence of the other party. Having said that, it will be a 7-minute session inclusive of the time of 90-minute session that we are going to have today. I would like to assure both the parties that I will not share any information that has been shared during the private caucus unless explicitly told by the parties. I want to rest assured, if I have a private caucus with one party, I shall definitely have another caucus with the other party. In the final stage of the mediation, we shall deliver the opening statements where we will summarize the progress. If a settlement is reached, it will be written in a form of an agreement and be duly signed by both the parties. Monica, do you have anything to add further?
The process of mediation is one which is provided by the law itself under Section 89 of the CPC to facilitate settlements of conflict at a lesser price and additionally lighten the load of the legal system through extrajudicial dispute resolution. Thus, understanding this process falls under the ambit of the legal processes. It is with utmost importance to maintain decorum and avoid using unparliamentary language during the process, as well as avoid interrupting the other parties while they are speaking. So, with all of this put out there and with all the rules being made clear, I would like the requesting party to begin with their opening statements. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the mediators for explaining the process and all these grounds so nicely. And also, I want to express my deep sense of gratitude towards my elder brother and the council for accepting our invitation to come on this session to solve our conflict that has been arose between our relationship. Well, I personally see you not just like an elder brother, but like the love and affection that I get from you is invaluable for me. And you are just like my father, the way you treat me. But there have been instances that our relationship has been soured. There has been few challenges which has deteriorated, which has worked as a friction in our relationship, such as you taking 2 of my shops, and further, you not providing me with the share of the household where we both stayed whole of our life since childhood till now. Well, I truly believe that in every family there is conflict, but through dialogue, every problem could be solved. Well, today I along with my council has approached this session with a free mind and a free intention to solve every single problem that we have, so that we could always restore the love and affection that we had earlier. And in conclusion, I would expect a very healthy and a very nice discussion, so that both of us could come into a common conclusion. Thank you. Now I hand it over to my counsel.
Good afternoon to the respected mediators and the opposite party. As the counsel representing Mr. Shivam, I take immense respect to be present in this mediation session and express my gratitude to the responding party to attend this mediation session on our request. I want to guarantee the mediators that they will be having a full cooperation in coming to a conclusion which should be favoring not just our party but also the responding party. It is very important to mention the fact that here today as a counsel for Mr. Shivam, I will be here in an advisory capacity, and all the decisions to be taken will be retained by my client Mr. Shivam. After listening to the facts and grievances that has occurred with my client Mr. Shivam, I will be putting 2 agendas to the bench. That is, one is that reclaiming ownership of the 2 shops which Mr. Pradeep has taken from my client Mr. Shivam, and the second agenda is that equal share in the household which both the brothers are residing currently. Thank you.
Thank you so much for making your perspective abundantly clear to us. I would request the responding party to go ahead with their opening statements.
As unlikely it is for us to nowadays listen to our elders, I think my and Shivam's elders were right in suggesting that we take this forum today to talk our issues out. As a joint family and as tight-knit as ours, it is a rarity these days that such a family still exists. And I would like to maintain that by doing all that I can to resolve the problems that have arisen between us. Thank you, Shivam, for extending this invite and calling these wonderful mediators to help us keep this family together. Since I was little, I grew up with this unsaid responsibility that after our father passes away, I will be the primary caretaker of this family. That is why when he left this house to me, I felt that I had to fulfill this responsibility no matter what. I have always taken care of Shivam. He is my little brother and the better half of me. I have never doubted Shivam's business talents and celebrated his success like my own. I never had the intention to keep or undermine Shivam's authority or control over his shops. But seeing how wonderful he is doing, I just wanted to be a part of his success and contribute in my own little ways. Truth to be told, being the elder brother and with so many familial expectations, it was not easy for me to digest that despite all my hard work, my business was not the most successful. It was very anxiety-inducing for me to know that my only source of income is gone. And so when I saw that I could be a part of Shivam's endeavor and his shops, I could not bring myself to give up the opportunity at financial stability. I understand that there has been a disconnect between us recently, and firstly on the ownership and the deed of this house. I want to remind Shivam that it was our father's will and dying wish that I have this house, so that I can carry this forward and his legacy forward and keep our family together. Therefore, at no point today I think I can let this house be partitioned. I also want to reiterate that Shivam's suit has deeply hurt me. I thought he would understand the pressure I face and that with great power comes great responsibility. And I, as the elder brother, would not want my younger brother to have such a huge burden on him solely. Secondly, I also understand that our father had left us equal distribution of shops. And as Shivam knows, my shops have not been the most successful. He can understand where my need to be a part of his shops comes from. Regardless, I would like to apologize to Shivam, and I completely get why he has been feeling stressed and disappointed. And today I'm here so that we can hear each other out and see if we can reach an agreeable solution. I love my family, and I would want us to go back to the old days. I would want to ensure that in today's session, I can hear his concerns and perhaps ease his and my own frustration at the situation. Partitioning our house and this family would be like dividing my own heart, and that is why I hope that Shivam will be open and listen to my side as well and help us come to a solution that works for both of us and our family together. And I think my counsel can elaborate on why I chose to be present here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to say that I know it's a Sunday afternoon, but I'm glad that both parties are able to be here. It really shows our commitment to the mediation process and will help us understand each other better. I also want to say that a thank you to the mediators for being here. I'm sure that your presence will help us reach an amicable settlement. Now, as Mr. Pradeep's counsel, I want to emphasize that I am here in an advisory capacity, and the decision to make any final choices rests solely with my client. Now, my client has expressed himself clearly, but just to concretize his interests, he wishes to keep this family together, to be financially secure, and to reach an amicable settlement. Hence, it is imperative that we reach a consensus today. I understand that the situation at hand is very challenging with various emotions and desires at play. However, I hope we can approach this mediation with an open mind and an open heart. Keeping that in mind, we thought we would like to approach this mediation with a few agendas, and I think it was already emphasized by the counsel on the opposing party. We would like to discuss the division of the properties, preferably starting with the shops. We think that addressing these issues will be mutually beneficial to both parties, so please do give your inputs on the same. I hope the mediators can note that down for the purposes of clarity. And I want to reiterate that we're not here to solve your problems or my problems. We're here to solve our problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, to reiterate the agenda of today's session, we have the topic regarding the division of property of the two shops that are owned by Mr. Shivam and the ancestral house that the father has given in the name of Mr. Pradeep. So, we have seen that Mr. Pradeep is not willing to partition the house because to him that is more than just a home, it is his family, it is everything that he stands for. But we also understand Mr. Shivam's perspective that as a brother, as a member of this family, he believes he deserves a share and a portion of this house, this job, and these shops. So I think that Mr. Shivam, are you willing to begin negotiations and talking, or?
Indeed, yes. Coming to the point, like, our house was never partitioned and will be partitioned. Coming to the fact that our stance is pretty clear. We don't want to partition our house. We want to have an equal share in the house. A house in which both of us have been stayed together as an equal family member. That is the reason I wanted to have an equal share in the house and not to partition our house. Secondly, coming to the point that claiming two of the shops that has been taken by you, that was earlier given to me, I want it back because of the reason that this was there in the will of our father. This was expressly mentioned in the will of the father that the 8 shops that we have, 4 would be going to the elder brother and 4 would be going to the younger brother. But this is absolutely a violation of our father's will by taking 6 shops and giving 2 to only the younger brother. Now I'd like my counsel to add upon the same.
Just to substantiate with what my client just told, my client here wants to put the fact clear that he doesn't want the house to be demolished nor the property to be divided between both the brothers. But it's just the fact that there should be an agreement in which it's properly mentioned that the household is shared between both the brothers, that is Pradeep and Shivam. And also the 2 shops which Pradeep has taken over, I repeat, taken over from my client Shivam. My client pertains that the shop should be given back to him, and the income Mr. Pradeep is taking from those 2 shops should also be given back to my client Mr. Shivam.
Thank you so much, Shivam and Mr. Council. I understand, Shivam, that being a part and co-owner of this house seems quite important to you. Can you help me understand your perspective on why you believe the house deed should be in both our names and not just mine? And also, my counsel would like to add to that.
So as the client stated that us taking over 2 shops would be a clear violation of our father's will, so will be being a co-owner of the house. We would also like your input on that as well.
Indeed, like our contention from the same, like since when we say like it's a violation of a father's will. So drastically there was a contention given like the 4 shops would be given to the younger brother and 4 shops would be given to the elder brother. So if we go by that logic, if we are claiming that like the house was given in will to us, then how can we say that that particular will in one instance would be right, but that particular will in the other instance would be wrong? How can we justify this particular stance, this dual stance?
I understand where you're coming from, Shivam, and I can clearly see that being a part and co-owner of this house is really important to you in addition to the shops. I want to re-emphasize that I never had the intention to take over the shops. My simple intention was to be a part of this wonderful business that you've created. And as you know, my business was not the most successful given the market competition, our supplier issues, and several other reasons that perhaps my counsel can elaborate upon. But I still don't understand, and I would like a clarification on your part as to why specifically co-ownership to the house deed.
Certainly because the house in which like we have been born, we have been raised together equally. It's very important that we have an equal share in that particular house. It's not about the ownership, it's about the contribution that you could give to that particular house. And coming to the point where my brother emphasized upon the fact that since my business was going well, he wanted to contribute to my business. He is more than welcome to contribute to that. But why there is a need to take the ownership of the 2 shops? He could very well contribute to my particular business, since we are a family member, we are siblings. He can contribute to that. But like the ownership would be there in my name itself. Where is the problem?
So we would like to emphasize that my client is not going to simply take over 2 shops. We are here in this mediation session to propose a solution that is beneficial to both of us. So with my client taking over the 2 shops, the opposing party will also receive something. We have a list of solutions that we would like to propose, and we would like to hear your solutions as well. If you would proceed in this regard, if the opposing party agrees.
Just to add to that, given that Shivam has a deep concern and deep frustration regarding the shops, I would love to hear what your thoughts are and your ways are on how we can resolve this conflict on shops first, and perhaps then we can move to the house.
Before we proceed any further, I would like to ask Mr. Shivam, what makes you feel that your brother is trying to take over the shops? Like, he has claimed that he does not want ownership. So what, as per the facts of the case that have been happening, what made you feel like it was a matter of taking over ownership and not just contributing to the benefit or the growth of your business?
Well, if you see the instances, so there have been 8 shops, 4 that has been totally in control with him, and that 4th shop which my elder brother Pradeep has rented that particular thing, and all the rent amount that goes, he takes that control of all that rent amount. Further moving, he also had taken 2 of my shop, which he completely have a full control of that particular shop. So if we want to express this generally, my brother takes control of 6 shops and gives me only 2. I'm not denying the fact that he's an elder brother in family and you can contribute to the same. But it's important, like you have to understand the fact that in families everyone is equal. And if we are equal, then equal ownership. What is the point of not giving them equal ownership if that was the intent initially? And just if my counsel want to add something about the same.
Highlighting the point what just my client just told, I'd like to bring up the fact that the responding party Pradeep is not just taking 2 shops profit from my client Mr. Shivam, but has also rented out his 4 shops, and the entire rental income is being taken by Mr. Pradeep, and not even a single shop's rental income is being given to my client Shivam. Therefore, here this is disturbing the principle of the will, which Mr. Sohan, the father of both the brothers, has left.
So I just want to clarify if the rent as well as the profit that has been earned by Mr. Pradeep is being shared or just has been kept by him individually.
So, as of now, the rent has not started flowing. And I would also like to reiterate that the rent amount that I might be receiving on the shops is that it is not necessary that they'll be same. And in fact, given that my business closed down in a very precarious situation, the rent is most likely to be less than the profit that I will get a part of in Shivam's shops. Additionally, to refer to what Shivam raised as a concern, control is not the same as the ownership, and Shivam and I never ever had a contract or a dealing with respect to me taking over ownership of his 2 shops. So the ownership still remains with Shivam. However, given that in the past few months I've had the opportunity to be an active part of his business, I did not realize I really enjoyed the work, the kind of work that he's created, the kind of work that environment that he's created, and in perhaps that excitement, I came off as someone taking excessive control. And for that, I'd like to apologize to you, Shivam. My intention was never to undermine your authority. It was simply to feel like myself again and be able to feel financially stable and secure. And I'd like my counsel to build on that.
I think just to summarize what my client has said, the rental income coming from the shops does not necessarily make my client very financially secure. This was given on rent during a time when the business was doing very badly. So the rental income is not very high. The profits are definitely higher than the rental income, and hence we would like you to be open to the idea that we want to be more financially secure.
Additionally, if I may. And like Shivam said, that he wants equal responsibility in the house, then I believe that part of that responsibility is to help out his brother and me at the moment. And perhaps from there, we can pick up our discussions about ownership, control, and so forth.
Understanding Mr. Pradeep's perspective and where he's coming from, especially at a time when he had such a big financial crisis, what do you think would be a good solution to this problem at hand? Like, where do you hope that we find a common ground?
Well, one of the facts is that it's not about right now my brother is not financially stable. For that, it's not important that he need to take 2 of my shop. He is my elder brother. It's not necessary. We are a family. We stay together. We eat together. There's nothing like whether he is financially unstable. That doesn't mean he has to think like how will I eat. Ultimately, it's a family thing. We do it all together. And coming what I could understand by the contention that is being given by the other party is that they are not interested in the ownership of the property of the 2 shops. Well, in that case, it could be like very well implied of the fact that in that case we could have this in writing that the 4 shops would be in the name of mine and the other shop that is being rented by my brother belongs to him. We can have this in writing.
Just to clarify, you mentioned that you're willing to share the profits of your shop with your brother because you want it to make a household like he should not face any financial issues. Am I correct in that?
Not sharing the profit. I mean, like, since we are a family, we eat together, we sleep together. It's nothing about like sharing profit or something. It's like making the things clear on the paper. Since like making the things transparent on the paper, it's very important that we make it in writing that 4 shop as what my brother said, like he is not interested in ownership. So we can do one thing, we can make this in writing that 4 shops that he is rented belongs to him and the rest 4 belongs to me. And we can live peacefully as we have been living for so many years. What's the problem?
So it would be similar to providing for the house on your behalf.
Sorry?
The situation would be similar that you are the provider for the household and not him. Like as you said that you are willing to make him feel secure, financially secure. So does it mean that you are like the provider for the house and not him as being the elder brother? What he stated in his opening statement.
Well, definitely we're going to be looking at the basic needs, what my elder brother, since he's my elder brother, so we'll definitely look upon the basic needs, what is required, we have house, what's the problem, we'll have food arrangements, there is no problem what to say.
Thank you, Shivam, for those insights. Firstly, I'd like to share how I'm feeling right now. I feel perhaps that you are not coming from, you're not understanding where I'm coming from, and I'd like you to be more open to solving this issue with me. Also, like you said, that I'm not interested in ownership, and I would like to reiterate that I am not. And I and my council are open to negotiating this. However, if the ownership of the shops is not on the table for us, we also would not want to put the ownership or co-ownership of the house on the table in the present issue.
I believe we have reached a point of deadlock, and it is beneficial for both parties if we enter into caucus with the responding party and then the requesting party. So I would like to request the requesting party to please step outside. Thank you so much.
Thank you, mediators, for providing us with this private time so we can relay our concerns to you.
Yeah, just before we start with the caucus, I would like to reaffirm the parties that anything that has been said in this private meeting would stay within the four walls of the room, and unless explicitly told by the parties, it would not be shared with the other parties. So feel it to be a safe place to share your thoughts on the process that we are going on.
Thank you so much. I believe that my younger brother, like he is always charged, is not able to understand where I'm coming from and my need for financial stability. And I would perhaps want the mediators to help me convey that to my brother. Additionally, on the issues of ownership, given that both of us have certain boundaries, so to say, we would like to propose certain solutions, and we'd want my brother to be open to those solutions, as well as we want to hear what he has to propose, just besides having the contract written that I will not have the ownership of the shops and he will not have the ownership of the house.
Initially, when we began, you suggested that we look at the shops first and then the house. Because I think right now we are reaching a point where both the conversations are coming at the same time, and it's creating more deadlock rather than creating a room for conversation and dialogue. It's just blocking both the parties from finding an ability to compromise. So how would you prefer bringing the matter of the shops first and then the house, or vice versa, as per your convenience?
So I would prefer that given that I have a better understanding of where my brother is coming from with regards to the shops, I feel that he wants to keep the ownership and does not want his authority undermined. I and my council have come up with certain solutions that I would want my council and Shivam's council to deliberate upon, and so that we can come to terms and decide what and how to proceed.
These are not solutions you're looking to discuss in caucus, but rather when the session is going on.
Ideally, yes.
Yes. So, but would you like to give us any rather opening as to what would be the solutions, or what lines would they be flowing, so that even we may get an understanding before we enter into proper discussions, so we may have a clear understanding?
Yes, and I'd like my council to elaborate on that.
I think what needs to be said here is that some of the solutions that we wish to propose also include details about the house. So we might have to delve into that area, as both these issues are interconnected. I think we have ascertained the intention of the parties with regards to the shops, so we can perhaps proceed to discussing both the issues.
Additionally, I'd like to add on that there is certain uncertainty about whether my brother is open to helping me out in my financial situation, and we'd like the mediators to help us also discuss that and bring forth solutions to that problem as well. And my council would also propose solutions with respect to that. So if the mediators could help us facilitate that discussion, we would be most grateful. Thank you.
Is there anything else the party want to discuss which they were not willing to or comfortable in discussing in front of the other party? Thank you so much. You may call the other party to join the session again.
one question. So you have made it clear that you have no intention of taking ownership over the shops, yet your brother is under the impression that you have. And you say that it's probably just the enthusiasm of having money or getting a profit. Do you think there's any way you could make him feel less like you are trying to take control, and it is more that you want it to be just a brother 50-50? You're not taking over his shops, you're just sharing it with him.
Absolutely. I would be more than willing to put it down in writing that I will not take ownership of the shops, provided that my brother concedes on the house deed.
Is this an offer you are willing to put forth in front of them? And can we tell it to them? Thank you so much.
Is there anything that you would like to keep confidential that we discuss in this meeting?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the session. Before we begin with the private caucus, I would like to reassure the parties that anything discussed during this session is completely confidential unless the parties want to discuss or want us to discuss with the other party. Feel it to be a safe space to discuss your issues with us. Thank you.
So, Mr. Shivam, how do you think the session is going so far?
I think the session is going pretty fine. Like both the parties are able to understand the stance of both the sides. But like it's important that we come into a common consensus. Then we're going to be saying that this mediation session was useful. But I particularly feel that this can be done like in the upcoming rounds or something. But right now, like we are unable to find a common consensus between the two parties.
What do you think is creating this point of deadlock?
Well, it's been the instance. I'm still able to clarify about the stance that is being taken by the respondent party, because one side they tells the fact that they want family, they want contribution. On the other side, they want contribution and everything that family need to be exist. So what's the problem in putting that in white and black paper itself, so that it remains transparent, it remains clear? Because see, I'm a person who for whom family comes first. And there have been instances, I want to disclose the fact that even though I know the fact that the house is in the name of my brother, still I heavily put all my monies in all these renovation of my house, even though I know the fact that is in the name of my brother. Because I want that in that house we have been stayed together. It's very important that we always stay together as a family. But the situation is such that it's always is taking away all these things that I've been getting. So I firmly believe that since we are in a negotiation, it's very important that each party gets something. That is the reason I want to press on the fact that given a rough offer, that if I've been given 75% of the house share and 30% of the profit that is being earned by Pradeep from my two shops, then I'm happy to go. And just my counsel would be substantiating it further.
I'll be dealing with the technicalities of the offer we'll be giving to the responding team. Listening to the facts of my client, I'll be stating that 75% of the household should be given to my client. The house should be registered, and agreement deed should be formed. The 75% should be given to my client, and the 30% of the profits which are earned from the two shops of Mr. Shivam can be given to the respondent party, that is Pradeep.
So there are 3 points of the answer that you gave me that I would like to emphasize on. The first one being the willingness to put it in black and white. That is one thing that we have discussed with the responding party, your brother, Mr. Pradeep, and he is willing to put it in black and white on the condition that you concede all rights of the house. The second thing is the mention of renovation. Do you believe that the fact that you put in the money for renovation is why you should have ownership of the house, and why you should have a part of the house rather?
Certainly not. It's the connection that I draw from the house. Because even though at that particular time I know that the house has been registered in the name of my brother, but still I invested that money. Because it's not that it's the affection because since childhood we have been staying in that particular house. We have that kind of sentiment attachment. I'm not saying the fact that if a house is being distributed between me and my brother, I would be partitioning, I would be creating a mid wall in that house. We're gonna be living at the same way, we're gonna be living together. But the only fact is that once that is clearly in papers, it's transparent for both the parties, so that in future there is no conflict as such.
And the third part I wanted to ask, the offer that you're putting forth. You were talking about how equality, you don't want the family to be divided and there will be no disparity in the family. But don't you think 75% of the house, what is your opinion on that? Because that is not an equal divide, that is rather 3/4 to 1/4. So.
Well, one of the prime reasons is that I'm contending for like 75% of the house is the reason that I'm giving him like 6 of the shop out of 8. So like he is given more chunk of the shops. That is the reason I want something need to be secure from my side as well. That is the reason I'm contending 75% of the house. And it's not that I would be removing him from the house. He will forever. We can make that in writing as well. He will be living in that particular house. There is no problem in that.
Just to clarify, out of the 8 shops, you are willing to give the ownership of 6 shops to the responding party?
Indeed, yes. The ownership would be given, but like the profit, like 30% of the profit that is being earned from the 2 shops that I have, he has to give on a monthly basis with 30% profit earned by that 2 shops.
So your brother, Mr. Pradeep, and his counsel were willing to discuss solutions along with your counsel. So since both of you are currently have offers on the table, will this something that we can discuss during the process of the session?
Indeed, yes.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Is there anything that you would like to discuss that you were not comfortable in discussing in the presence of the other party?
Indeed not. This could be shared with the other parties.
And to add on, is there anything confidential? Is there anything that you would like to keep confidential that was discussed in this party, in this session?
No, I want everything to be transparent because the other party he's my brother. He understands my particular concern as well, so that we both can come into a common consensus which is beneficial for both of them. So that is the reason I want this particular information to be known back to the other party as well.
Thank you so much. We would like the other party to join the session again. Thank you for joining the session again. We had a very fruitful conversation with both the parties in the private caucus. I would like the requesting party to put forward the offer that was made during the private caucus.
So, as we all understand that this is a mediation process where it's important that both parties take something from the session. That is the reason we came up with this particular offer that I will be taking 75% of the ownership of the house. In return, I'll give 2 of my shops that is being currently under your control only, but I'll take 30% of the profit that is earned on that shop on a monthly basis. And that too, this particular thing should be there in writing so that there is no ambiguity in future.
How does the responding party feel about the offer made?
Thank you so much, Shivam, for offering what you put forth right now. However, like I told you earlier, I was given this house because it's my birthright. I have been prepared all my life to be the head of this family and to own this house. And that is what our father envisaged in this deed that he left in my name. And so, like I said, I don't think, and I have also not been able to understand, and if you're more than welcome to provide me more clarification as to why I should share that title with you when all my life I have been prepared to run this house.
Indeed, what I believe, like since childhood, we have been prepared equally for the life. It's not important like you have been trained for this particular house. And what I believe, like the sentiment, it's not only your sentiment is attached to this particular house, but it's our sentiment. My childhood, everything I've been grown here. It's not only your father's property, it's my father's property as well. That is the reason I'm willing, because ultimately in that house we both would be living together. But the only fact is that we put everything in clear so that there is no ambiguity, because I don't want any of these sessions in future. That is the reason I wanted everything to be clear and everything need to be clearly laid down in writing. so that like there is 70% of the houses, and the only reason is like 70% because we have been taken an extra hand when it comes to like division of the shops that was given by our father to us.
I would like to clarify, is it 70% or 75%? 75.
75%.
Thank you so much for the clarification, mediator. I understand. I truly understand where you're coming from, Shivam. But if both the brothers were trained, then why is your name not already on the deed? And that is not to embarrass you or to hurt you in any manner. It is to simply say that it is best that the ownership of the house remains with me, and we can negotiate on the shops and further proposals that I think will be really financially and mutually beneficial to both the parties. And with that, I'd like my counsel to put forth the offer that I think is more beneficial. And on the offer that you've put forth, I am not amenable to 75% of the ownership in the house or that being given to you. Additionally, if the ownership is to be transferred at any point of the two shops that you're talking about, I would not want to share the profits. So if that is the offer on the table, we'd like to propose a counter, and I hope you can be open to it and we can negotiate further on that.
So what our first offer would be that we would purchase the franchise rights of the grocery store and convert the 4 shops that we have right now into grocery stores.
Just a small clarification. All that 8 shops, like 4 other and the 4.
Yes. So to follow up on that, we could convert all 8 shops into one big supermarket and be co-owners of that supermarket and share the profits.
Well, thank you for that offer, but I totally disregard that. I'm unable to understand the logic. Like, for one instance, we are applying that our father deed was right. On the other instance, we are denying the fact that our father deed was not right. If we go by that particular logic, then there should be like 4 shops that you have. Then you should not be entering into taking control of my 2 shops that you have been doing for so many months. You've been earning profit, you've been taking profit. Because in one instance, we are saying that our father deed was right of transferring that property to only me. Whereas in the other instance, we can be saying that this could be adjusted. I'm unable to understand this dual stance.
I understand the confusion, Shivam. However, I believe that the issue is that perhaps there is confusion as to what we're proposing at the moment. Firstly, I would appreciate if the mediators could help us not circle the issues again and again. And what we are proposing is twofold. Firstly, that either you allow us to have the franchise rights, and in the 4 shops that we have, we adopt the similar model that you have in your shops in order for us to also be able to come to that level and be financially stable and secure. The other part of it is that if you are not ready to give us franchise rights but would rather want to be a part of that endeavor, then we propose that we form a huge supermarket by combining all 8 shops into one, dividing the profits equally into 50-50, thereby maintaining the 4-to-4 ratio of the shops that our father actually promised us in the deed. And therefore, there is no conflict about the deed here. We are maintaining what our father wanted and also proposing a solution that I think will help both of us. It will allow you to keep ownership as well as help me become more financially stable.
So to simplify, I think the problem you had with the previous time Sir put forth the proposal was you assumed that he was going to buy your 4 shops, right? No. Okay, so you're not going to take over the custody of his shops. Okay. So would you be open to such a proposal of converting your grocery stores into a functioning supermarket and sharing the profits?
I'd like to thank the responding party for the offer. But since the offer was that they would take our 4 shops and convert it into a huge supermarket, in which there would be 50-50 share, if I'm not wrong.
I'd like to clarify that is the second fold of the part. Within the heading of franchise, which we are proposing, we're suggesting 2 ways to go about it. One, that you give us franchise rights and we open similar model in our shops as well, while you maintain the ownership of your own. Second, If not, and you'd want to be a part of the whole project, then we propose that we create a huge supermarket out of all 8 shops combined, while you maintain 50% ownership and I maintain 50% ownership, thereby keeping the 4-to-4 ratio that our father wanted and envisaged in the deed.
If I'm not wrong, according to my understanding, both the offers given by you looks the same to me. At first, you told during the first offer, it's like we.
I would like to clarify their offer. So, in the first instance, they are not taking your shops and creating it. What they are doing is they are buying franchise rights, and then they will create a replica of the same shop in their shops and start their own supermarket, but as a franchise of your supermarket. So, they're not taking over your shops, but rather they are opening their own branch. I think branch should be a right word to use. And in the second case, they're saying if you are not willing to give franchise rights, what they would do is convert all 8 shops into one supermarket, with you having your 4 shops, so having his 4 shops, and all the profits been divided 50-50%. So in what Sir was trying to reiterate was, at no instance is he trying to take over your 4 shops, but rather he will be maintaining the separation of the 4 shops and the separation of profits throughout in both instances.
I think what would help us to understand this better is that in the first instance, all 8 shops will be separate, and in the second instance, all will be sort of merged, if that makes sense.
Well, certainly.
I'm so sorry. They will be merged, maintaining independent ownership. So that would mean that 50% ownership individually still remains.
Well, in both these cases, like if we're gonna be negotiating on the fact, then I want and share in the house as well. Because if either way, if I'm selling my franchise, or like if we are dividing it in 8 parts, so like I need some shares in the household as well. And coming to the second point that I wanted to make, the fact that there have been for so many months, you have been taking the control of that particular the 2 shops, including taking the profits, including taking everything resources of that 2 shops. So it's advisable, if you guys are doing this, we need to have some share in the household as well, and for that we are ready to negotiate upon that. And just to
I think the issue is that we keep bringing up the matter of the house here, which is sending us in round robin arguments, and the issue of the shops is now getting clarified for either of the parties. So I understand the love you have for your home and the need to have a partition, a part of it. But the shops, on the other hand, is getting brought into this matter, and there is no clarification as to that, because we understand that there has been a great problem with the profits, and Mr. Pradeep, you have been living off the profits of the shop as well, right? It has been your only source of income for a while after your clothing line has crashed and burned down. So would you want to find a way with your brother just to fix that issue first, or do you have any take on the ownership of the house in this matter again?
Certainly. So, Shivam, I understand that I've hurt you by not maintaining my boundaries in the past few months with respect to the shops. And I sincerely apologize. Given my financial instability, I perhaps did not realize that I'm putting you in such a position. However, I'd like to clarify again that with regards to the house issue, by providing you shares, what I would be doing is partitioning the house. And like I emphasized, that I do not think that is in the best interest of me or my family, and our family in fact. And I believe my counsel would also like to add a little on how we can solve the issue of perhaps the title and the ownership, which I clearly understand that is important to Shivam. Just to summarize what that would be is, and please feel free to provide your thoughts to me on this, is that how would you feel that instead of you getting co-ownership to the deed, we allow your children to have inheritance rights, equal inheritance rights to the family and ancestral property?
Just to clarify, this would be in addition to the settlement that we agree on the shops as well.
So what is your take on the proposal that has been given by the responding party?
Just a small clarification. What the other party is trying to contend is the fact that they're gonna be giving the inheritance right to my children, if I'm not wrong.
Firstly, I'd like to clarify, Shivam, I'm not here to fight with you or contend. I am here to reach an amicable solution so that we can both return back to being a happy family. And what we are saying is that right now, given that I and my sole name is on the ownership deed, perhaps that can form an issue later on when I pass away or you pass away, for your children to claim an inheritance to the property. In order to assure their inheritance, we'd be more than willing to add your children's name to the deed as part of the co-inheritors along with my children. This would not only assure that in some sense you get the ownership, it will also keep our family together because I've always seen your children just like mine.
Do you see the benefits of the proposal, or would you believe that this will not benefit your children or yourself for that matter? Do you have any take on it?
Well, like this would create more ruckus in our family, because coming from the instance what my brothers are always contending from the fact that they don't want to partition, and from the first instant what I am trying to convey is the fact that partition and sharing the house are two different things. It's not that I'll be dividing every house from the middle itself. It's very important, and at the same time they are saying the fact that house for the next generation would be divided. According to my brother's logic, it would be partitioned. And just like if my counsel would like to add upon that.
Since this is a mediation session and we would like to get benefits for both the parties out of it, we would want this problem to get solved in this generation of the brothers. We don't want this problem to continue to the next generation of their children and them again fighting for the same household.
Mr. Pradeep, I would like to ask you, how do you see that this solution is more beneficial to the family? Because as they said, it will create ruckus in the next generation. And don't you think right now just giving equal ownership to both the brothers would create a sort of amicable, rather than making the grandchildren of the house fight later on or be in a situation such as this?
I completely understand where Shivam and the council is coming from. However, if I give co-ownership to Shivam in my generation and in this lifetime, I would be going against the will of my father, which is that he intended, and very specifically in writing, that I be the sole owner of the house. And with that, I've also repeatedly told Shivam, and I hope I can make myself more clear and help you understand better, that given that I have been the elder brother, I understand you may not feel so, that I've been specifically trained to do so. However, not just societal expectations, our family upbringing has also made sure that I am more emotive and concerned about my family, while you possess the business acumen.
Creating of current split between the house, or giving the ownership to Mr. Shivam right now, don't you think that would have added benefit when it comes to, let's say, paying off for certain aspects of the house? Like we were told by Mr. Shivam, he paid for the renovations of the house recently. So what do you think that would create an added benefit to have that co-ownership? So in case you all are having a monetary problem, there will always be someone else that will have a hand in the family or a hand in the house.
I think we would like a clarification on where the source is from, that you acquired the information of Shivam paying for the house renovations.
Mr. Shivam, would you like to clarify the same? Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I get it. We have been contended the fact in the private caucus, and we wanted this to be known to you parties as well, because we try to understand our situation as well, so that we both can come into a common consensus, so that it is beneficial for both of the parties.
So, if I may, from what I understood, you're saying this was something that was discussed during the private caucus is confidential information, and you're revealing it to us right now.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you. I understand, Shivam, that from what I gather so far, is that you are not at all willing to compromise on the house and the shops as well, from as I've seen, because me and my council put forth, I think, a wonderful solution, to which we would have really encouraged if the council could propose counter solutions. However, I feel we're circling around again and again on the house issue when I've made my stance pretty clear that I do not think it was intended as a part of the deed that you be a co-owner. And like my father and like our father has always ensured and maintained that I should be the one taking care of the family as a whole.
So are you saying by no means are you willing to give any parlay to let Mr. Shivam have a small part of the house, even not even 50%, let's say 25%?
Like I proposed earlier, by giving Shivam's children inheritance right, I in fact give them co-ownership in the next generation. So I think that is a mutually beneficial solution, and it also fulfills his ultimate desire that he has some sort of concrete ownership in the family house. And he may not have it with me in this generation, but I believe I can guarantee that for his children successfully in the next generation.
I would like to ask the requesting party to clarify on the importance that they have for having an ownership in the house in this generation.
It's very important to understand from this from the sense is that since that house it's very much emotionally attached to me. So like from the first instance, I've been pressing the fact that partitioning the house and sharing the house are two different things. What we are contending is to have a share, and I'm still unable to understand about the contention which my brother is giving. He is not willing to share the house with this particular generation, but wants this to be done for the next generation. Like this dual stance, I'm unable to understand the logic behind that. And secondly, from the stance, from the first instance, because we came in this mediation session with a very open mind to negotiate upon, so that it's better for both the parties. But from the fact that what has been stated by the other side, for one instance, when it comes to house, they have been rigid from the first instance. That has been they have been trained to be the owners of that house since the beginning, and they want an absolute ownership on that house, since that was mentioned in the deed. On the other hand, for so many months, they have been violating the deed that was given by our father, that 4 shops, that all the 8 shops would be divided equally, and by interfering in 2 of my shops and taking control on 6 shops and giving me only 2 is a clear violation of a father deed. So for one instance, we have been accepting our father deeds, and on the other instance, we have been rejecting our father deeds. So I'm unable to understand the dual stance, as I earlier stated, which is being contended by the other party. If my counsel would like to add something.
Since Mr. Pradeep has already told that from the childhood he was trained to be the man of the house. He was trained to look after the house by his father. His father is the one who gave him the responsibility. But here in this case, he has failed the responsibility to take care of the house. The 4 shops which he set up were a loss for the family as well, due to which he lended to the rental income. And from the success my client Mr. Shivam has achieved through the 4 shops, Mr. Pradeep has interfered in the 2 shops, taking the income, taking the profit from the 2 shops, and that is how he is running the household now. So therefore, I am stating the fact that the training which his father had given him to be the man of the house and to look after the house, he has failed his responsibilities.
There was no need for that personal attack about his failure of responsibility. This is a mediation center. We not point fingers such as that. So, but Mr. Shivam, I would like to answer one of the questions where you wanted a clarification as to why why Mr. Pradeep is not willing to give you the ownership right now. I think he clarified it before, and he reiterated it again once again. It was that he believes that at this generation, this was the will of your father, and next generation, as per his will, it will be for your children. So that was just a clarification as to what. But I have seen, Mr. Pradeep, by your facial reactions, you're getting a little bit agitated right now because there has been no shift. We are still in that same deadlock where the shops have been kept aside. We are going back to the matter of the house. We are going back to the matter that yes, the profits were shared at some point. You had taken over his profits. But don't you think there was a time at some point where y'all were living cordially, where the house was 50-50, the shops were 50-50, and y'all will have your own shops, your own profits. So what do you think would be essential right now to go back to that point of time, to go back to when the ownership was fully yours, than the shops of FD3. What do you think is essential right now to go back to that point of time? How do you think we can create a situation, rather go back to a cordial relationship between the brothers?
Thank you so much, Ms. Mediator, for bringing up the point. I feel my frustration arises from the fact that I don't see the openness on my brother's part to come to a resolution. I understand I have deeply hurt him, and I've clearly gathered that from his reiteration that he felt bad that I took profits from his shops, or perhaps took some sort of control over his shops. What I would want is to leave the past in the past and be here and solve the issue in the present. I want to clarify a few things that I think the council mentioned, my brother's council mentioned. Firstly, shops are not part of the house. So to clarify, I have not failed my duty just because my shops perhaps were not the most successful. Secondly, and I'd like to reiterate my offer once again, I would want that, given that we are running in circles, that we take some time and we come back to the issue of the house deed in our next session, and perhaps in the moment address the shops and financial instability that I face at the moment and how we can divide that.
So you had put forth the offer regarding the shops, right? Mr. Shivam, do you remember the offer that was put forth regarding the franchise or the supermarket creation? Do you think that we could put aside the matter of the house and come back to this and ponder upon whether this would be an amicable solution for us, or among the two options, whether any one of them could be some sort of reconciliation for you brothers?
Indeed, yes, I remember both of the offers. But like our humble contention is only for the fact that since whether it's the distribution of the shop or the ownership of the house, both of them are dependent on our father's deed. For an instance, if we want to apply our father's deed, either that would be applied absolutely in that absolute sense, or it cannot be tweaked according to our own benefits. So for the instance, I've been saying that because if we go like initially, like the house was given to my brother, whereas the shops was equally divided. But in a way, my brother, which like he's being agitated at this point of time, for which I want to say sorry to him. But at the same time, we have to understand the fact that we cannot tweak a father's will according to our own benefit. And these two concerns, whether it's the concern of the shop and the concern of the house, both of them arose from the father's will. That is the reason we are pressing on these two issues at the same time, so that it gets answered during the same time. Because independently, because these both issues could be solved together. So why do we need to have an independent?
If I may, Ms. Mediator, if I may. Thank you. I completely understand that both issues arise out of the deal that our father left us. However, what I am suggesting is that we deal with one part of that deal, which is the shops, and then move on to the second part, given that both being discussed together is not helping you or me. And so today we are here because I want to understand your perspective properly on each of those subjects, and therefore I want that perhaps we can discuss solutions to how we can solve the issue about the shops right now.
Since we have been going to and forth again and again on the same issue, I would urge the parties to discuss on one issue at hand, which would be the division of the shops. Do you have any solutions to the problem at hand regarding the shops?
Well, our earlier offer remains intact, as I earlier stated, that both of the reasons have come from the same cause. So why do we need an independent session to deal both these problems? Since if we want to apply something, we'll apply that in totality rather than tweaking that according to our own benefit.
I'm so sorry to interject on this point of tweaking. So when you said that the offers made by Mr. Pradeep tweak the ownership of the shops, right? They affect the ownership of the shops as per your father's will.
Tweak our father's will.
Yes, but according to what I understood by the offer made, there was no change in ownership. Y'all would retain ownership of your 4 shops, and so would he. What I think Mr. Pradeep was rather suggesting that y'all come together and create a business. This was not affect the ownership of the land or the property itself. The property would be yours to absolutely own and his to absolutely own within your capacities. So there is no rather affecting on the will. So if if you take into consideration the offer and you see that the will is not being affected, and that was your major contention with the proposal, how would you feel about the proposal?
Like it's already been like it's not what is being proposed. Like if we see, there are from so many months he have been controlling my particular shops as well. So he's taking the profits and also indeed it clearly is violating our father's will. And all of a sudden we can't say like okay we'll undo everything and everything would be fine. There need to be some negotiation process. What the other side is always intact about the same and not negotiating on the fact that the house is something which there has been, because my brother won't deny the fact that we both have been raised equally. We both have been equal in terms of members of the house. And why denying one person the right and other person taking the complete privilege?
So since again we are not able to reach any solution, so is there anything else you would like to propose than the ownership issue that can solve the issue, that is the profit that has been taken by your brother for the last few months for the two shops?
Can you please repeat?
Yeah, since you have not been able to reach any solution regarding the ownership that you have been contesting, so do you propose any other solution that you are contesting for the profits that have been taken by your brother for the past few months for the two shops that you own?
Indeed, in that particular contention, it's very important, like because as stated earlier, I have a sense of attachment towards that particular house as well. So it always revolves me towards that particular. It's not only shops or only house. It's my attachment towards both of these things. And it's been so many months where he has been taking all these control. There have been a lot of instances where I've tried to talk to him, have a dialogue, because I believe like every conflict is there that could be solved with dialogue. But there is no response, positive response from the other side. That is the reason it's very difficult for me to understand the particular stance. That is the reason I'm pressing, like it should be understood in totality so that there is no grievances left in the future, so that there is no grievances left for the upcoming generations.
So, Mr. Pradeep, we've seen that Mr. Shivam cannot separate the two entities and he would rather look at them as one. And the proposal you had made looks at one aspect, which is the shops. So would you like to create a counter proposal that deals with the matter of the house as well, or is your stance on the house still going to be the same?
I'd like to clarify that at several occasions we've provided solutions to not just the shops but also the title. We've also proposed that while I may not be able to give my brother Shivam equal co-ownership because that was not part of our father's will, I will be able to give his children co-ownership in that will. And I think that is my answer on the title issue. And coming to the shops issue, those two are not mutually exclusive in the sense that what I propose for the shops will not negate what I'm offering for the title and for Shivam's children in the title. So therefore, I think by proposing a holistic solution, I have sort of put forth what I think can solve the issues between the parties, and I would like the mediators to reiterate that there has been no response as to what we are offering at all. There has been no response as to whether the other party will be open to any negotiation, whether that is about the shops, profit division, it is almost disheartening to see that Shivam would put himself before his children.
Since we can see and has been clarified by the other party as well, are you willing to negotiate on the offer that has been put forth by the responding party?
The first instance, I've always been trying to put the repercussions what my brother is putting. Since like we are not solving, what we are doing is we are not solving this aggravated issue right now, but we are just carrying this for our future generations, so that our children also fight the same way, they fight the same way that we are doing it. I'm unable to understand from the fact that if a particular problem could be settled in this particular generation, why should we carry forward to a next generation? Because there have been a lot of uncertainty in this particular thing. Because as we see from the fact that giving titles to our children, these things are very much uncertain.
Okay. If I may.
I feel like we have come back to the same point once again, and we've come back around to the topic of the fight being carried on to the next generation, or the house having to be divided into co-ownership. So, but we haven't got a response regarding the question of franchising and supermarketing, the creation of a supermarket. So that proposal itself has nothing to do with the house. So how about we deliberate on that rather than proceed further? Otherwise, we will not have any sort of, we won't take any step forward in this session itself. So have you thought about it, or have you considered an alternative proposal? Any of the party would like to answer?
If I may. Shiva, I'd like to reiterate that what we propose will not only solve the shop's issue, but also ensure that our children are safeguarded in the next generation. Therefore, there will be no problem that exists in the present with regards to the shops or the titles. What we want is, and we really hope that you would consider what we're proposing. And if that is not something that is amenable to you in specific terms, suggest an alternative so that we can negotiate on that instead of dwelling on the past. Because I understand I hurt you, and I truly do understand. However, to move forward and to solve this fight that you refer to again and again, we have to discuss a solution. And I would want your thoughts on what we are proposing, and if not, on alternatives that we would want to suggest if you're only open to the solution.
I totally respect the offer which my opposite responding party is giving. But the thing in the house, sharehold of the house going to the next generation is that we have seen hundreds and thousands of cases of partition suits happening in the court for more than 10-15 years. So what I'm telling is the purpose of mediation, if we accept that offer, would have no value. This mediation session would have no value. It would be the same thing of the grandchildren going to the court of law that the Pradeep's father had given the will to Pradeep, and why did Pradeep give it to his younger brother? It would be his son and his son fighting in the court of law. So it would be a total waste of time of this session.
I just want to clarify from the responding party, how does the responding party see the situation? How giving the share of the household to the next generation will be beneficial for the requesting party?
I believe at the end of the day, what Shiva wants is to secure his future and his family's future. And by giving his children a co-ownership right along with mine, ensures their future and completely solves the concern that Shivam's council has put forth, which is that there will be future litigation and dispute between my children and his. If I can provide my children and Shivam's children co-ownership, then the dispute there itself is clear and a clear demarcation is being established.
Don't you think, if God forsakes, the requesting party undergoes some financial issue in this generation, and maybe selling of the house or a part of house would be a solution to that, so that does not secure his future in this generation, and it just only secures his future generation?
I'd like to reiterate that my client is currently going through a financial crisis, and if the opposing party helps us, we will definitely be open to helping them in the future with regards to the shops if they do face a crisis in the future.
And also, I'd like to reiterate that I see Shivam's children just like my own. Even if they were not part or co-owners to the house, if anything, any tragedy were to fall upon them, I would take care of them regardless. So I assure Shivam of that irrespective of a tragedy or no tragedy, his children and his family will be taken care of.
Appreciating the concerns of my elder brother, what my brother has been going in a financial crisis, when I truly believe I'm more than willing to support my brother when it comes to protecting from a financial crisis. And the reason I'm denying the fact of the future ownership that is being given to the generation, about the uncertainty, what is certain that the house would remain intact till the next generation is being transferred? Since it is an object, it may be demolished. how can we justify the same thing that this particular house will be intact for the next generation as well? These things are very uncertain, and from the fact that ultimately if I get that ownership right, ultimately it goes to my children only. So that doesn't make any point. Like if like for an instance, if it's divided right now equally, ultimately that 50% share will go to my children itself. So rather than right now taking 100% and like giving that to the next generation, that is like, because I'm giving the serious repercussions that could be happen, because uncertainty cannot be denied. The fact that there may be some other instance as well. We cannot justify the same that the house will remain the same for the next generation as well.
If I may clarify, and I'd like to reply to Shivam's concerns about the house not existing. If the house does not exist, I would want to clarify that not only your children's concerns and ownership title will be affected, but mine also. And so by providing both our children equal stake in the house, I am ensuring that both of them are on equal footing. And like you said, that ultimate goal is to pass on the house to your children as well. So if I ensure your children's future right now, in the present, like you have been re-emphasizing again and again, I think we can essentially solve the concern, the underlying concern you have about the property at hand.
Well, one of the concerns from your end is like you're financially not viable at that particular point of time. Well, as a younger brother, I'm more than willing, as earlier stated, to help you in any sorts of needs. But I'm unable to understand the fact, like why should we keep on carrying forward this particular tussle between our children as well? If this could be very well settled from the fact, if you want to ensure my children rights, it could be very well ensured at this particular time itself. For instance, as I earlier stated, if it's get divided right now, ultimately that would go to my children. So ultimately the needs of both of our children would be justified and would be protected, rather than keeping this issue for the upcoming generations to face this particular thing.
I'm so sorry to interject. I would ask Mr. Shivam to rather give a counter offer or give us a proposal that the manner that the conversation may flow, rather than reiterating the same points, because we've heard it before, we've understood it, and we understand your perspective. I assume Mr. Pradeep also understands your perspective. So could you offer us counter proposals that you think would be applicable in this situation, that will abide by both what you want right now, the benefits of your children, the benefits of his children, as also his needs?
Before we move ahead, I'd also like to address our need for financial help and security. So from what I gather, Shivam, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying the financial assistance that you are willing to provide, because as you said that you care for me and I'm your elder brother, is dependent on whether I can provide only you the co-ownership and the title and not just your children, even though that is the ultimate goal.
The reason I'm saying it's vague, what if I don't have any children?
I'm sorry,
I would like to clarify that you have children.
That I know, but like till the transfer of that, it's not like we have to live in practicality. Because we are carrying that to an upcoming generation to do so. What if this particular thing settles? Because see, we have to be realistic of the fact, like whatever is the situation, we cannot presume things like we're going to be transferring this to the future generation. And ultimately, if your objective is to,
I'm so sorry to interject you, Shivam. Can you clarify, would you want to pass this title to your children or not? In yes or no, please, so that we can understand where your concern actually arises from.
indeed, I want to draw your contention whether if you want to protect my children's interest or not.
Sorry?
If you want to protect my children's interest or not.
Right. So you would want to pass the title to your children.
Well, if that is given to me, ultimately it gets transferred to my children as well, according to the general presumption that is being happening in.
I'd like my counsel to respond to this.
At this juncture, I think it's important to note that Mr. Pradeep was raised to assume this responsibility. Your children are still very young and can be raised to assume a role of a co-owner. And hence, that is why your children should deserve a co-ownership rather than you at this moment.
And I'd like to reiterate once again, as I have throughout this session, it was our Father's will and clear demarcated will that I be the sole owner of the house in this lifetime while I'm alive. And to ensure that your family, your children, your wife, all are secure, I am proposing very in strict terms that I am more than willing to give your children and your entire family co-ownership rights for the next generation. And that would cover all situations, whether a tragedy falls us or does not fall upon us.
I would like to ask Mr. Shivam to consider all of the factors of the proposal given by the responding party, because I feel we're returning back to the same argument that what will your children get. So how about you clarify for the purpose of the session as to why you believe that the ownership should be given to you and not your children, and where the distinction is, and how you can make the difference that the giving the title to your children wouldn't make.
It's not the title fight between me and my children. We have to understand the fact that I'm talking about today, not something about the future generation. We have to be realistic of the fact. We cannot presume things that we have been born someone to have that kind of a quality to have that ownership. We have to be realistic of the fact that because in an instance we have been prolonging, as I've been stating, we are not coming to a conclusion. Rather, we are prolonging this particular conflict to a future generation that will have a more aggrieved effect. Because honestly, if my brother is very willing to protect the interest, why can't it be shared right now? And ultimately, objective of my brother is very clear, to protect our children's interest. Ultimately, if it gets transferred to me, that particular interest would be justified.
Sorry, but given the paucity of the time, I'd like to clarify that we are willing to solve a part of the issue in the present, and technically both issues will be solved in the present, that if your children are added as co-owners right now in this generation by me, then they will in the next generation continue to be co-owners. And additionally, I'd like my counsel to reiterate our stance with respect to the possibilities of not being able to reach a consensus, perhaps even in the future sessions, if we continue to circle around in the same issues and are not able to reach an amicable solution.
I'd like to remind the parties that they have filed a suit for, with respect to the house, to be co-owners of it. And to do so, you will have to prove the validity of the will, which is already set in stone. And this will be a very strenuous process for you. Hence, it is imperative that we settle today in this mediation process or in further sessions.
And I'd also like to reiterate that I don't expect an immediate answer, given that there has been a lot of disputes, a lot of disconnect in the past. But what I would like from Shivam, you and your counsel, is to be able to show openness and willingness to perhaps discuss this in the upcoming session in more depth, and proposing solutions of your own that will not just limit you to the title, but also to the shops, and address how you would want to help me financially. And I'd like to remind you that, as I've reiterated throughout the session, the intention, the consent, and the knowledge while making the will of our father was very evident and clear. And therefore, to dispute the same thing in litigation would not be beneficial for us or our families. It will create and divide our families further and not help us come to a conclusion that we are trying to seek here.
So the main issue at hand is the uncertainty of the future that lies, and that is one thing that Mr. Shivam has repeated constantly on and on about his children not knowing whether the house will still be in stance. But I believe that in the short 2 minutes we have left, and the matter of the shops, would you all want to say anything about that? Because your business will still be going on, the house will always be there, but business changes due to the dynamic factors of the business world. So would you have anything to say about the matter of the shop?
Just before we go further, I would ask for the permission from the judges if we can have a 5 minutes discussion, since the time has been up. Thank you for giving the permission. You can go forward.
in that case, our contention was from the first instant to call for mediation and not go by the lengthy court process. That is the reason we invited my brother in for so that we could come for a common consensus and do so. Till the time being, because these things, as we are revolving around the same thing, and both of these things are very essential and that need to be addressed in totality. What I've been pressing from the fact from the first instance is that if we are applying something, we have to apply that in totality. Not we're going to be applying same thing here and we're going to be applying partially in this other way. It's very important to understand the fact that if we are applying something, that need to be total, general. So our contention would be with an immediate injunction from the two shops that my brother has been taken, and compensation for 10 lakh rupees, which he has been taking over the control for so many months.
Thank you so much, Shiva, for putting forth your concerns. And I think from our discussion today, I've gathered that I've really heard you, and you were, for some reason, you're quite adamant on having co-ownership in the present only for yourself, and would not, as irrespective of repeatedly suggesting want to secure your children's future. I understand, and I understand perhaps given that we've had a disconnect, you're not able to understand where I'm coming from, and therefore we personally would prefer that in the next mediation session, that you think about our offers and perhaps come with me, as well as I think my counsel would like to add a few pointers while we wrap up. However, I'd like to put some thoughts to the mediators as to how I believe this session went. I believe that we roamed around the same agenda again and again, irrespective of us, me and my counsel proposing that we address both issues together individually as well, propose individual solutions of both issues together combined. And so we'd like the mediator to perhaps in the next session assist the other party more on the same. And if
I'm thankful that we were able to have this discussion today, and we were able to make considerable progress with regards to the intentions that both the parties possess. I hope we are able to have another session very soon where we can discuss the agendas. In closing, I'm confident that our mediation efforts have laid the foundation for a positive path forward.
But in conclusion, we couldn't come to a common consensus, but the fact that it's important that we both were able to know each other's stance. That was very important. It's important that we first realize each in the position, then only we're going to be negotiating and coming into the common consensus. The first session was not so productive that we could lay down a certain common consensus, but I truly believe that it was beneficial in some instance. And for that, I would like to thank each and everyone who contributed to that, so that we could understand the situation of each other. And now I'd like to transfer this to my counsel to speak there.
As we conclude this mediation session, I want to express my appreciation for the collaborative efforts of the responding party and the mediators for sitting here for this session. Though we couldn't come for a common ground, I hope that there will be another mediation session, and we can come to a ground where both the parties benefit from the session. Thank you.
Since we have not been able to reach a mutual ground, I would like to propose a next mediation session next weekend at the same time, if it's fine by both the parties. Thank you so much for being here today with such a positive mindset. I hope we can reach some amicable solution in the next session. Thank you so much. If my co-mediator has anything to add.
As we understand, for mediation to be successful, there needs to be a flow of conversation towards a path. But if it goes around in circles, people do get stuck in that constant, circle. So yes, I understand that today we were not successful, but I hope next time we will be, and both parties come with more clearer minds and with the willingness to probably step down or step up where they have to. Thank you so much, everyone, for being gathered here today.
Thank you very much to all the participants. We will now proceed forward to the feedback session.
Sri Prasad Subrahmanya, Senior Mediator, Sri Mehta, Madam, Vrinda. faculty members of this institution. I am really very happy to see these youngsters excelling in this field of mediation. This mediation, as you know, is now becoming part of most of the litigations, and it is included in some acts also. It is a mandatory requirement, and I am very happy to know that the law colleges have introduced this as a moot court subject, and you have been given an idea at the stage of learning itself, that is in the college itself. Because when we were the students, these subjects of mediation was not there, nothing was there. No such litigation was there, no such acts were there. And new acts are coming, new litigations are coming, and we are forced to opt for alternative dispute resolutions such as arbitration, mediation, conciliation, settlement, local adalats. So this is one of the part of that alternative dispute resolution, and I find all of you, both client and counsel and mediators, took a very active part and did very well. I congratulate all of you. Of course, winning and losing will be there, but I find that is it may be a very slight margin. Whoever wins it will be because both of you cannot win, and at least there will be at least some minor. You know, people will come to 99 and get out, and 100 who scores 100 century will be celebrated like that. Of course, one thing I should say that you have the opening statements, what the mediation process, what it says. You have understood that process. The mediators told, they disclosed their interest and what is their how the confidentiality. And both the clients, of course, though it's a hypothetical question, both did very well. They were stuck to their point, and of course, the counsel could have helped them to come out, or the mediators could have slightly asked them to facilitate them. Of course, you cannot decide it, or cannot put your views, but you could have facilitated them. What I felt myself, because it was all around revolving around the house only, and what is the inheritance, what is the right, what is the nature of the council should also intimate them whether it is a self-acquired property and what is the effect of the will, and all those things should be there. The client, the advocates must tell their clients also what is the legal effect also. Ultimately, if the matter went to the court, of course, court will decide it. The purpose of mediation is to reduce the time and say that create a win-win situation. So here there is no loser or no winner. Both are winners. So that is the purpose of mediation, and the role of mediators is very important. The mediators must try to facilitate them and extract as much as information from them, and the mediators should use that confidential information indirectly so that the parties can arrive, they themselves can arrive at a particular settlement. So that is one thing I would like to say, and as you said, it is a confidential one, whatever discussed. Whether if a court asks you, mediators, can you disclose it in the court of law? Any question to put in? If a court gives summons, or if a party was asked in mediation, you agreed for so much solution, and if a question is asked in the cross, suppose the mediation is not settled, then you went for a court and there will be exam chief, there will be cross examination, and the cross examination they ask, you agreed to give that inheritance right. Whether you are supposed to disclose it? Can you answer? No. Good. You understood what is the effect of mediation. Because such questions are asked. I have seen I was a judge at the family court, and there will be, of course, I was in Mangalore also 1 year, and here Bangalore will get a lot of experience in the family court. Whatever settlement they used to put in the cross examination. Then I said, Baba, you can't ask these questions. What is settled there? It is confidential. You cannot ask it first of all. Even if they are ready to disclose it, I won't allow it. I will not allow that question on record. So that is the purpose is it's a very good type of resolution, solving the dispute, and both of you, all of you have done very well. So I think of course, other colleges, they also participated. I'm told that they have also done very well. So I congratulate all of you, and I wish you all the success in your career. Come out with the flying colors. Thank you. I thank the institution for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Honorable Judge has covered very important aspects of what, from his wealth of knowledge on the bench. My colleagues, Mr. Mehta and Ms. Brinda here, and including myself, we have been mediating for a very, very long time. As his Lordship rightly pointed out, yes, whenever we are invited to judge any of these competitions, and when we see the potential in the youngsters, we feel very proud of them. It's because we train lawyers and judges, and it has been our experience that what you at your age and exposure can do is way ahead of what we have seen the abilities in advocates who have put in not less than 15 years of practice. So that itself is very commendable, and we are very proud of your understanding of the situation. Having said that, there are certain nuances which you have to take it forward. See, the Mediation Act 2023 has come. Section 89 would not be so much relevant now that the Act itself has come from 2023 July. And it applies to a lot of the pre-litigation, mediation, and emphasis is given on resolution. Just for not finding fault or anything, just for improvisation, you may have another opportunity somewhere else. When somebody is doing co-mediation, they would not say that my co-mediator will assist. It's a co-mediation. Both are equal, both are on par. Okay? So kindly desist from repeating it henceforth. It was observed that one of the team members was reading from a script. An opening statement just should flow like you open a tap, the water comes. Don't be so conscious of what is there. Let it be a natural thing. And take pauses. Pauses are very important. You don't have to rush through it. I know there is a constraint of time, but that does not mean that you cannot cover it up. If you look at the advertisements, in 20 seconds, how much information they convey. Isn't it? So you have to at least say, let us say 5 minutes. How much more can you convey about it? So take it slow, take it at a pace, make eye contact with all the parties, let your body language be relaxed so that you will be giving confidence to the others that yes, here is somebody who is capable of doing something. Then there are certain things which requires to be brought to your notice. I mean, not necessarily the role played by the mediators, but to all in general. See, try to generate options. That's one of the things which, as a mediator, you are supposed to do. It is not that you have done the statement and left it to them. Okay, now you back and forth play the shuttle. No. Okay, you are not a silent spectator. You are an active participant. And involve the parties, involve the lawyers. In real life mediations, we sometimes have a conference only with the lawyers. because the lawyer knows the law, and the client has gone to that lawyer to get legal redressal. So involve the lawyers. Ask them, okay, now a peculiar situation arose about the what about not having children or will and such things. I mean, it's already given in the plaint. It is already there. We cannot improvise on the facts here. It's already there. In mediation, of course, we can go beyond the pleadings and do something much more than what is there. But here, unfortunately, or whatever reason, it was not moving forward. Now what you do? You have to think. So there is an impasse. Now what do we do about that impasse? And one of the things which I observed, I do not know about what my colleagues feel about it. It is like, a comment was made about one of the parties by a mediator. Okay? Now, we do not make any direct comments about a party. Okay, I don't want to tell the teams or names, but please remember this. We are exceeding our role as a mediator when we start making a personal comment about a mediator, that it should be desisted at all cost. Then the other thing is, ask yourself a question: can a mediator ask for a counter proposal? Okay, you are in a joint session and mediator is asking one of the parties for a counter proposal. Okay? No, that is something which should be avoided at any cost, because mediation is going to be a big way in your professional career. Okay, so try to avoid that. And while concluding, always be positive. Always see the progress that is made. Never conclude on a negative note. Not in mediation, not in court or anywhere, in your life in general. Be positive. I mean, positivity to such an extent that I can very proudly say I am so positive that I still carry a comb in my car. Okay? So I can very proudly say I am the only one who can do one thing every day which none of you can do, and that is have a head bath. So when you are concluding something and say, today we were not successful, that leaves on a very sorry note kind. Don't say that. Today was a very successful day. We have made enough progress and we have exchanged the ideas between the parties, and I'm sure, or we are sure, that in the next instance when we meet, certainly we will make more progress. So leave on a positive note. And finally, before I conclude, look at the relationship between the parties and try to see if you can have them talk to one another on a one-on-one. Always remember the relations in a suit. Okay? So here we have two brothers. That's the best way to tell, break an impasse. Okay, why don't you, would you like to talk to your brother on a one-on-one? See, explore the possibilities. See, options are important, alternatives are not. The more options you generate, the better are the chances of success. Alternative is either or. Do you want tea or coffee? There is nothing else other than that. So you have no choice. What would you like to have makes a difference. See, in court we may use this, as His Lordship was saying, in cross-examination. That reminds me, we can ask a very nice question in a cross-examination. The party is there in the witness box, and I am in a family court. I can ask, have you stopped beating your wife? Say yes or no. That's all. Yes or no. Even if he says yes, he is a problem. Even if he says no, he is in a problem. So never have either or options. Generate more and more options. All right? And of course, we are all unanimous in appreciating your endeavor in participating here. And as His Lordship has already told, it is literally would be neck to neck. Okay, so winning or losing, participating. Okay, mediation of course is a win-win, but a competition cannot be a win-win. So I am very glad to have come here and very happy to be associated with all of you, and I wish you all the very best in your future forensic endeavor, and please see to it that you do better and better and better, because you are the future. You are the future judges, lawyers, lawmakers, everything. So the future is in your hands. Consider yourself fortunate that you are chosen this profession, because without law there is chaos. Only lawyers, everything has a law. So be proud of your profession, and we are proud of you, of your achievement today. God bless you.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, faculty members, dear students. I was really so overwhelmed by today's mediation. I really forgot it was supposed to be a mock mediation. It was like a live case being played out before us. And all of you were so involved, and you did an excellent job. Like Sir said, it's neck to neck. And we really appreciate the efforts made by all of you. And I think most of all, you have covered everything, opening statement. Of course, certain things have been left out, but it's okay. In due course, we'll have to learn how to do the opening. Like, for example, the ground rules will always have to be specified in opening statement, so that you don't have this problem of, parties, in spite of telling them in the opening statement that you must maintain the decorum, you should speak in a cordial language, you should be, still they do get emotional. So that handling emotional outbursts is a very important skill the mediator has done. We cannot tell them, no, you can't speak like that. We could just gently remind them of the ground rules. If in spite of it they are continuing, they cannot control the emotions, we'll have to break into a private session. That's one thing. And I think what would really help is setting an agenda. Before every session, just find out here what was the agenda was. One was the shops, one was a house. And they were stuck with regard to the house. So this is where we say very important thing to learn in mediation is to move them from that position to interest. So what was the interest of the elder brother in that house? It was sentiment, father's will. Younger brother, why did he want it? And that was one thing could have been examined in the private session. Why is he willing to give it to the grandchildren but not to him? And secondly, the lawyer's role, sir, is very, very important. Reality testing. Though he did not budge when it comes to the house, but he did give a proposal of inheritance to the children. This could have been examined with the help of the lawyers. How do you give it to the children? Are you going to gift half the share? Or are you going to make a will? If that had been examined, maybe that position you could have broken that, But maybe you would have said 50% I'll give it to your children. That could have been considered by the other side. So reality testing, and what like Sir said is, what will happen now when parties are stuck in impasse? What will happen when they go to court? In the court, it will go according to the will. He will get a full share and he will get 4 shops, plus he will also get back his business. In which case his interest was the business, livelihood factor. He would lose his livelihood and he would lose that half a percent. So if this had been brought to their notice, maybe they could have overcome the impasse. But on the whole, it was really well done. I really felt that it was a live mediation going on. Congratulations.
And my esteemed colleagues, I think they have covered everything. They have not left anything for me to say. I should say ditto, ditto, ditto. That will be easier. But however, all said and done, all of you have done extremely well on the positive note. Your involvement and participation itself is a thing, it speaks volumes. And the crowd here, all the students waiting on a Sunday evening, that speaks volumes, and so much interest shown by all of you. The teamwork is excellent. A lot of applause to all of you. As if you are sitting in the IPL or some match. In a moot court competition, it's wonderful and very positive as well. And As rightly said, in live mediations, what happens? We get stuck, just like in traffic jam. But from how to move from there is to ask relevant questions. The questioning skills of the mediators can move the parties. They will always stick on to the positions. As Brinda ma'am rightly said, you have to shift the focus. There has to be a paradigm shift from the position, that is, they will take the legal position. You have to shift it to the underlying interest. What is the interest each one has? Then there will be some progress made in the mediation. So they always, both parties will have that kind of Shylock attitude. I want my pound of flesh. So that is the challenge to the mediators, how to ask relevant questions, open-ended questions, closed questions, so many other questioning skills are there. So this is the beauty of negotiation, which you can improvise on that. But as students, you did extremely well. Even a professional mediator, we failed to do so many things, and later on we regret that we should have done that. Even in the courts also, I wish I had argued on that point. So we miss, but learning is the experience. Every stage we learn, keep learning. So keep learning, and as my learned friend said, that Suparna sir said, there is nothing like dead end. There is always a bend at the dead end. Okay? Be positive and think positive always, so that they keep moving forward. Okay? I wish all of you very best in not only in your professional career but also in your lives.
As we conclude to this final round of the mediation competition, I express my heartfelt gratitude for the judges, Honorable Justice P.N. Desai sir, Advocate Prasad Subanna sir, Advocate Brinda ma'am, Advocate Bharat Kumar sir. Your guidance and discernment have been invaluable throughout this process. Thank you for lending your expertise and exercising the integrity of our proceeding. And last but not the least, thank you very much to the audience for patiently hearing and participating in this session. I request all the participants and the students to remain seated here. We will commence the valedictory shortly in 10 minutes.